Yes, you heard that correctly, ladies and gentlemen. One of the best wide receivers in the entire NFL didn't get traded. It didn't get shipped off for a second round or a third round or fourth. No, DeAndre Hopkins just got cut. DeAndre Hopkins is a free agent. This is going to be a player that is going to a situation where he most likely takes a team that's on a borderline path to a Super Bowl. It pushes them over the top to actually get the job done. So I want to look at a couple different things here. First, I want to look at where DeAndre Hopkins is currently going in fantasy football drafts. Second, where we think DeAndre Hopkins may land this next season. And last, I want to try to figure out where DeAndre Hopkins will be going in fantasy football drafts after this news. But before we get into it, make sure you go down there, drop a like on this live stream. This is the first time we've had some big news in quite some time. Yes, you know, I hauled ass home from the gym so we could go through and cover this. And you know, we are going to cover every piece of breaking news that we get, and we will be the first person to do it on YouTube. So make sure you're subscribed if you have not done so already. And one last thing is, if you're in the live chat right now, please go down to the live chat and let me know, where do you think DeAndre Hopkins is going this next season? I'm going to give you my guesses, but I would love to hear yours as well. So first thing that I want to cover is where DeAndre Hopkins currently is going in fantasy football drafts. Let's head over to Underdog here. Let's pull up the rankings and let's look at where this ADP is. Keep in mind, Underdog, best ball, so these wide receivers are going to be dramatically pushed up. But nonetheless, we can look at them amongst the other wide receivers. So if you're looking at DeAndre Hopkins right now, this is a wide receiver that was going as the wide receiver 22 before he was released by the Arizona Cardinals. Now, of course, this price tag was taking into consideration that there were already a lot of rumors that DeAndre Hopkins was not going to be an Arizona Cardinal this next season. And to be honest with you, it's probably a good thing that DeAndre Hopkins is not going to be in Arizona this next year. Because if we're going to go ahead and look at updated Vegas lines in terms of win totals for the 2023 NFL season, let's send this out and let's see what we have. Because, I mean, it is not going to be pretty if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan with how bad this team projects to be. So let me just find a decent way that y'all can view this, and I'll share this over on the screen. Yeah, Marker Word out here says Arizona's tanking. Yes, Arizona already went through, traded for Houston's first round pick. So not only do they have the shot to get possibly a top 3 pick this next year with Houston's, but at the same time, I mean, you could see their own first round pick being there at the very top. So we're looking at the lines right now. This is a website that I generally use to track lines because it covers a lot of different sports books. So if we're going to go down and look at the very bottom here, you will see Arizona sitting there at 5.5 wins for their projection. The other team that's right there, the Houston Texans. So right now, yes, as it projects, it looks like the Arizona Cardinals may be sitting with the number 1 and number 2 overall picks in the 2024 draft. Now, of course, that's not going to happen. Of course, we will have some randomness, but I think it's safe to say they'll probably have 2 borderline top 5 picks this next season, right? And it's also probably safe to say that DeAndre Hopkins is better off not being in that horrendous offense this next year as Kyler Murray misses the majority of the season, and we're better off seeing him go somewhere else. Now, what I think we're going to end up seeing with DeAndre Hopkins, who in my mind honestly deserves it, is I think you'll see DeAndre Hopkins go to a team that is an actual contender. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while now. Pretty much any of those teams that are looking to add in a free agent that's in his 30s, right, is most likely going to be a team that is looking to win this season. There's not a situation where the Houston Texans are going to go out there and make a push for DeAndre Hopkins. There's not a situation where Hopkins would want to go back to the Houston Texans. And of course, we're just using that as an example because that's the other team that was down here at the very bottom of this list. So if you're coming out here, I see a lot of people going, oh, he's going to be a Packer. Oh, he's going to be a Chicago Bear. I have news for you. If you find your team at the very bottom end of this list in terms of their win projection. You're looking at Chicago, supposedly 7.5 wins. This puts them as a bottom 10 team this next season. You're looking at the Packers, 7.5 wins. This puts them as a bottom 10 team this past season. Probably not happening on that front. Now, Chris coming out here asking about the Jets. Yeah, so if we're going to go to the top end of these win projections, I mean, here is where I think you actually have some realistic landing spots for DeAndre Hopkins. If we're looking at these teams that are 9.5 wins or more, Chargers, not realistic. They just went through, added in Quentin Johnston. They have 3 guys they can feel comfortable with. Miami, not realistic. They have Tyreek. They have Waddle. Detroit, probably not realistic. I doubt a free agent wants to go to Detroit. New Orleans, 9.5. I mean, maybe, just maybe. In reality, if I was DeAndre Hopkins, I'd be looking for a better quarterback. I think Cleveland here actually makes a decent amount of sense as a team that looks like they can possibly contend this next season with Deshaun Watson, and it's not like they're loaded at wide receiver. Dallas, honestly, I think makes some sense. We know that there's a lot of smoke with DeAndre Hopkins going out there and tweeting out some stuff with the Dallas Cowboys earlier in the offseason. The Jets, I think, make some sense. The Bills make sense. This was my dark horse at the very beginning of the offseason when we were sitting here and thinking, okay, well, if we have to project out what we are going to get with the DeAndre Hopkins landing spot, he's probably going to go to a contending team, and he's probably going to go to a team that most likely has a quarterback on a rookie deal that can afford him. So my dark horse team here, I don't think it's likely, but I think there's a tiny chance. The Jacksonville Jaguars, I think, would be interesting. Yes, they bring in Calvin Ridley. Yes, they have a revamped wide receiver core, but at the end of the day, it would be beautiful to surround your quarterback on a rookie contract with Ridley, with Hopkins, with Christian Kirk. So I think maybe, just maybe, the Jags are a dark horse. In reality, I think if you're looking at it, the favorites to land DeAndre Hopkins in my mind, and this is coming from an idiot who has no idea what he's talking about, keep that in mind, the Kansas City Chiefs, I think that would be the perfect natural spot. We talked about that at the beginning of the offseason as well. I think another realistic situation, the Buffalo Bills. I think the New York Jets are in play. The New Orleans Saints, possibly. The Cleveland Browns, possibly. Jack coming out here saying Carolina would be perfect. I mean, if we were looking at this, right? Yeah, like, it makes sense for y'all to go out here and say, yeah, the Panthers could use a wide receiver. Yeah, it makes sense from a football fit. But at the end of the day, if you are DeAndre Hopkins, right? If you're sitting here going, okay, yeah, I'm finally free. I've spent my career in Houston. I've spent my career in Arizona. Let me go and pick where I'm. Do we really think he's going to go be a Carolina Panther? If we're going and looking at these win projections, again, even if it's a weak division, the Panthers are still only sitting here at 7.5, right in line with like the Commanders, the Patriots. I mean, the Patriots could be a landing spot as well. I agree with you. I think that if this was Madden, Carolina would be in play. I just don't necessarily know if you're Hopkins, if you want to go to Carolina. Go for Jaden says the New York Giants. I think the Giants could be in play as well. You have the Giants sitting up here 8.5 for their projected win total. Clearly, that's a team that could use a wide receiver. KG says the Bears have the money to spend. I have bad news for you, my friend. I don't think anybody's wanted to go and play in Chicago. Chicago, it projects to be a bottom 10 team this next year, according to Las Vegas win totals. So if we're thinking about those landing spots, right? If we're thinking about the Jets, we're thinking about the Browns, we're thinking about the Chiefs, we're thinking about the Bills, we're even thinking about possibly New England. These are some pretty good situations for DeAndre Hopkins, where I personally, in these underdog drafts so far, have taken a lot of DeAndre Hopkins in this range. Y'all know at the very beginning of the offseason, we were saying our most common pick between all the wide receivers that were going late round 4, early round 5 was Christian Watson. But if you're looking at the updated underdog ADP for Christian Watson, the man's now going at about pick 40. Like, Christian Watson isn't really falling to the same range as what you had with these other guys. So if I was looking at updated ADP now, the drafts I've been getting in over the past week, I've been taking Hopkins quite often over Mike Williams, over Jerry Jeudy, over Keenan Allen, over DJ Moore, over Drake London, over Terry McLaurin. And if Hopkins were to land with the Jets, if he were to land with, I don't want to go as far as Kansas City, obviously that would just be the dream, but let's say the Jets, the Browns, if Hopkins were to go there, I think he immediately jumps Jerry Jeudy in this ADP. I think he immediately jumps Mike Williams. I think he probably jumps Christian Watson. What I want to ask y'all is, if DeAndre Hopkins were to go to the Cleveland Browns, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Amari Cooper or DeAndre Hopkins in fantasy football? Let me know. Let me know. And of course, we're playing the what if game, but I'm just trying to get a sense of where we should be drafting DeAndre Hopkins, because y'all know I'm getting in these underdog drafts every day. I've already been in like 5 today. I'm about to hop in another one right now. If Hopkins were to go to Cleveland, are we taking Amari or are we taking Hopkins? Okay, so Cooper, Hopkins, Cooper, Hopkins, Amari, Hopkins. It looks like most people are taking DeAndre Hopkins in that instance. So you know what I actually want to do real quick? Let's go ahead. Let's fire up a draft. I'm going to get another draft going in another live stream later today, but let's just see where DeAndre Hopkins is going to be going in these drafts. So we just hopped in the Poodle. There are 10 spots open. Of course, if you want to draft with us on Underdog, you know where to go. These are our best ball drafts. Real money buy-in here. It's a $7 buy-in. I believe a $60,000 first place prize and a $300,000 prize pool. These are our best ball tournaments. This is no time commitment at all during the season. Drafted over 700 teams here last year on Underdog, and we'll draft 700 teams again this season. And yeah, I mean, we won $150,000 last year. In my mind, best place to play fantasy football. Of course, if you have not signed up to Underdog Fantasy yet, it is not too late to get in these drafts with us. We're doing this every single day, and we'll have another draft later today on this live stream. But if you go sign up with promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a dollar for dollar deposit match up to $100. And on top of that, if you use promo code FLOCK, you're going to get my 2023 fantasy football rankings and a free trial to flockfantasy.com. But let's see. I think we had a donation coming out. Bobcat says Patriots, Juju isn't a number one and more weapons for Mac Jones. I think the Patriots would be a really strong fit. Clearly, the Patriots are going to push for him. I would like it. In reality, I just don't know if you're Hopkins, if you would be that excited to go to New England. I could be wrong, though. Brock says he has DeAndre Hopkins in 16% of his Underdog drafts. Let me see how many drafts I have DeAndre Hopkins in. Like I said, I've been drafting DeAndre Hopkins a lot over the past week. And we made that video earlier in the week saying our most drafted wide receivers to let y'all know how much DeAndre Hopkins I had. Hopkins I have in 14%. Yeah, so I'm pretty heavy on DeAndre Hopkins here. I just really want to see where he goes in this draft. We may even take him at 42. Go for Jaden coming out with the donation says, look at my PFP. Would it lie to you? New York Giants. Let's go. Oh, okay. Profile pic. Okay. So it's a DeAndre Hopkins, New York Giants edit. Love it, my friend. Luke says, great day to be a Hopkins owner. So it's interesting to see that the majority of people are looking at this as good news for DeAndre Hopkins. Obviously, it's not great when at the end of the day, I mean, your player just gets straight up cut. Now, Travis Kelce goes. Y'all know I'm taking wide receiver round 1. We've talked about this a million times, so we'll go ahead and we'll grab Stephon Diggs at pick 7. Yoda says he has Hopkins in 45%. Oh, dear God, so. In the Flock, you better believe we're hoping for Hopkins in Kansas City. Now, of course, I can't sit here and say that is likely, but it would be a dream. Now, AJS says, does Hollywood Brown rise in ADP? Hollywood has to rise, right? I mean, this is going to be a very bad offense, but at the end of the day, now you have very little target competition for Hollywood Brown in Arizona. Wavy says he's been flirting with the Cowboys all offseason. Let me see how much Michael Gallup I have. Let me see how many Dallas Cowboys I have in Underdog drafts. Maybe Hopkins going to Dallas could end up messing us up a bit here. Okay, so if I'm looking at Cowboys players, I have 7% Lamb, 7% Gallup, 5% Brandon Cooks. Okay, so you know what? We're actually chilling. We're fine if Hopkins goes over to Dallas. But Lamb goes off the board here at 12. Not too much to discuss. Really just want to see where DeAndre Hopkins goes in this draft. And real quick, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. We have over 600 people watching this, and we have yet to hit 200 likes. Go down there, hit that like button, help us get to 200. TJ Finally in a draft with you in here at pick 5. Okay, good pick with a Tyreek Hill there at pick 5, my friend. Tank says, I have too much Gallup, 36%. Yeah, that'd be a little nasty. Roland says, Hopkins shook his head when asked if he would want to play with Dak in a recent podcast. Let me go over to Twitter. Let me do some research and see if we can figure out if anything special is going on here. Okay, Barkley goes. Barkley and Diggs is like a very common start that I have in these drafts. Nothing funnier than pulling up Twitter and the Arizona Cardinals tweeting out, we have released DeAndre Hopkins. You really need to be the one reporting that. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Chris Olave. I understand a lot of people don't like Olave, but if you look at his rookie season, I mean, this is a player that literally comped to be like rookie season Julio Jones, rookie season AJ Green, rookie season Odell Beckham Jr., rookie season Mike Evans, and now you're getting a quarterback upgrade. I'll be happy to go through and take Olave, knowing the running backs we'll have available to us in round 3. Okay, so I see some people saying that they want DeAndre Hopkins over there in Baltimore. There's no way in hell, right? How high would Lamar Jackson go if DeAndre Hopkins went to the Baltimore Ravens? Can they even make that work? Let's see what else we're seeing. This is what the Cardinals wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is looking for on his next team. Quarterback that loves the game and brings everyone on board with him. Great defense, quote unquote, defense wins championships. Got to have a great D-line. Stable management because he says he's been through 4 GMs in his career. Thanks for the help. Thanks for the app. Right. Bean Salad out here says Browns need Hopkins. I think the Browns make a lot of sense. I mean, obviously, everybody's first reaction and first take is going to be Bills, Chiefs, Bills, Chiefs. And trust me, that's what I want. But if we're going to be realistic with ourselves, I don't know. Saudi says, what's the format for this draft? A best ball, you're going to be starting 1 QB, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, tight end, flex. So the reason that Underdog has no time commitment during the season and why we were able to draft over 700 of these teams last year and won 150,000 is because you don't submit your starting lineup on a week-to-week basis. That is automatically done for you at the end of every week with your best potential starting lineup. So it allows you a lot of flexibility with how we're going to go ahead and how we are going to draft these teams here. And yeah, if you want to get an Underdog draft, available pretty much everywhere. You can see the map here. If it's a gray state, sadly, it does not have Underdog, but that's only like 5 states in the country. And on top of that, it's available everywhere in Canada, but Ontario. Okay. Go for Jaden says, all his wants match the Giants perfectly. Luke says Giants make too much sense. I feel like I have a decent amount of Wan'Dale Robinson. I've drafted like no Jalen Hyatt, but let me see how many Giants I have. Okay, and I've already done over 100 Underdog drafts this offseason. So, I mean, I'm looking at a large sample. Giants, I have Saquon Barkley in 15%, Daniel Jones in 12%, Paris Campbell in 11, Waller 9, Wan'Dale 8, Isaiah Hodgins 7, and Jalen Hyatt 3. Nick coming out says, at the 102, team will be filthy if I get Burrow back around. So all you flockers be nice here. LOL. Okay, so 102, Chase, Chubb. Oh, yeah, that would be a filthy team here, my friend. But we'll see. Austin says, wait, what if he went to Philly? If Hopkins was sitting here going, you know what? I don't care about my fantasy football points. I don't care about what happens. All I care about is winning this next season. Imagine DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts. It would be nasty. R. Gravy says, A.J. Brown, Devonta, Hopkins in the slot. Eagles make sense. I don't even want to think about it because of how unfair it would be. I did not include the Eagles on that list of potential landing spots, primarily because it would be so unfair that I'd rather act like it's not going to happen. Yeah. Judy off the board, 39. Brock says, hey, Mason, how to get your rankings? I'm signed up on Underdog with code FLOCK. So whenever you sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, Underdog will send you an email with our rankings, my friend. So check your email if you just signed up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK. And also, if you're a member of flockfantasy.com, just to make sure y'all know this, you can go and, okay, Hopkins goes right before us. We were going to take DeAndre Hopkins if Najee Harris went, but we'll go ahead and we'll take Najee Harris here at pick 42. But one quick side note, if you are a member of the Flock on flockfantasy.com, make sure you go to your account page and put your Underdog username in that account page. That way you get a free $10 added to your Underdog balance. So, yeah, I mean, we've been working our ass off to make sure that y'all are going to get that. So make sure you're taking advantage. Go to the account page on flockfantasy.com, put in your Underdog username. And if you are a member of the Flock with the site, then they'll go ahead and just add a free $10 in your Underdog account. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. It doesn't matter if you signed up for Underdog with promo code FLOCK like 2 years ago. You can go get that right now. Okay. Keenan Allen, 44, Mike Williams, 43. So we're going to stick around because I also want to see where Hollywood Brown goes in this draft. A Wavy says, Eagles are taking the Rams approach if they pull this off. Honestly, if the Eagles pull off an addition of DeAndre Hopkins, I would say they are doing way better than the Rams ever did. Like, the Rams sold out. The Rams sold all their future draft picks to go and get those guys. Eagles really haven't sold out. Like, the Eagles have been able to accumulate assets here. And Nick ends up getting Burrow at pick 47. So, dear God, I mean, good luck, everybody else. He has Chase Higgins stacked up with Burrow. Oh, that is a beautiful start. Goes Christian Kirk here as well. Preem says, Hopkins to the Bengals. Cincinnati would be nasty as well. I mean, they could go out there and have the best 11 set, 3 wide receiver set in the NFL. They go throw Chase, Higgins, Hopkins all in the same field. Okay. Let's see what we're going to do here. I just want to see where Hollywood Brown goes, really. Brock says, if Hopkins goes to Philly, how high are you taking Jalen Hurts? Well, I already have Jalen Hurts ranked as my number 1 quarterback this next season. So to be honest with you, I'm not pushing him up too much higher. Like, obviously, I already have him as my QB1. I would say if Hopkins goes to Philadelphia, though, I would probably change the way we have the tiers ranked, where right now we have a tier 1 being Hurts, Allen, Mahomes. I think tier 1, if Hopkins were to go to Philadelphia, would just be Jalen Hurts. And then tier 2 would be Allen and Mahomes. But also on the flip, if you have DeAndre Hopkins going over to Kansas City, I probably move Patrick Mahomes to be my quarterback 1 in fantasy. I probably move him ahead of Jalen Hurts. I wonder if there are any betting lines right now of where Hopkins plays this next year. Let me pull this up. Okay, so this was posted 4 days ago. I don't know how accurate this is right now. Like, I don't know if you could actually go through and make this bet, but yeah, I'm not even going to say that. It doesn't look like it's up to date. That was 4 days ago. But J-Rob says, isn't Hopkins washed up anymore? He keeps getting cut. Hopkins didn't get cut going from Houston to Arizona. Hopkins was traded for a 2nd-round pick. Sam says, Hopkins to my New Orleans Saints would be fun. I think it is a realistic landing spot. I've taken a lot of Chris Olave round 2, so I mean, I wouldn't love it. Sean says, does Hollywood get a big bump? I think you have to give Hollywood a bump here, just given the target share that he should see, even if it's a very bad offense this next season. That's why I've stuck around in this draft. I want to see where Hollywood Brown goes. I want to get a sense of where people are willing to take Hollywood at this point. Okay. Now, let's swing this back around. Mixon goes pick 63, so we are not going to be taking a running back here. Neither team in front of us has the Jacksonville Jaguars, so I bet they pass on Lawrence. Coco says, I already signed up on Underdog and didn't use promo code FLOCK. Can I swap at the Flock? I'm very sorry, my friend. Before you make your first deposit, you have to use promo code FLOCK if you want all our benefits with code FLOCK. I'm sorry, my friend. But yeah, the account has to have promo code FLOCK first before any deposit happens. Okay, so Kadarius Toney goes off the board 67. I've talked about this in the past. I mean, obviously, this team's going to get the double stack with Mahomes, Kelsey, and Toney. I very much think Kadarius Toney is the worst pick in fantasy football drafts right now. Like, to take Kadarius Toney over Trevor Lawrence, Dallas Goedert, I don't know. In my mind, that is tough to do. Hollywood Brown does go 71. Okay, so you are seeing Hollywood Brown rise up. I believe the ADP you had for Hollywood Brown before this was actually at pick like 80 or so. Tank says, stole Hollywood at 93, so I'll take it. I don't know if I ever saw Hollywood Brown make it that far, my friend. That is crazy. But we are going to get another draft going on a live stream later today. I have a little bit of work that I need to do before then. I just wanted to go live, get a sense of where you are possibly going to see DeAndre Hopkins getting drafted now, as well as Hollywood Brown. So we have a sense of it right now. I'll also get in that other draft later today. So of course, if you want to watch that other draft, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And also, if you want to get in that next draft with us, if you want to get in any draft with us, go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK and they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. So it's pretty much free to check out. And on top of that, if you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog, you're going to get my rankings and a free trial to flockfantasy.com, which in my mind is definitely worth the $10 deposit. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate you. I'll be live. Let's call it at 5 p.m. Central. I'll be live again on this channel. I'll go ahead and I'll schedule the live stream right after this. So we'll get in our next draft there. But thank you. Really appreciate you. And J-Rob, I already read your chat. Okay, so please stop freaking out. Appreciate y'all. And we'll see you in the live stream later today.